Nasty. Lollipop lady. Warning. This is a horror story. Some people say roads aren't safe, don't they? But there was never anything wrong with roads. It's who or what goes along them that's wrong. You'll never guess who said that. It wasn't the Minister of Transport. It wasn't on the telly. It was my old friend, the Bakerloo Flea woman. It happened like this. One evening, a friend took me to their place for a chat and a late night takeaway. And as we were all still chatting away after the last train, I stayed the night, sleeping across 2 armchairs. In the morning, when I left, it was after everyone else in the house had gone. I wasn't quite sure where I was, so when I came out of their house, I walked to the main road, and as I came round the corner, there was something that nearly took my eyes out. Standing in front of me by the side of a zebra crossing was a Lollipop Woman. But the Lollipop Woman was not just any old Lollipop Woman. She was the Bakerloo Flea Lollipop Woman. I was knocked sideways. I went up to her straight away. "But it's you," I said. "It's you." "I never knew you were a Lollipop Woman." "Neither did I," she said. "You know now, though, don't you?" I said. "No," she said. "Well, you got the white coat, the blue hat, and the stop children thing on the end of a pole. You look like a fair copy of one." "Good," she said. Every now and again she was having to stop me talking because there'd be a school kid or two to take across the road. "Why don't you know you're a Lollipop Woman?" I said. "Sometimes things aren't quite as simple as they look," she said. "Why?" I asked. "Look, chum," she said, "haven't you anything better to do than hang about on street corners asking a woman silly questions?" "No," I said. "Fair enough," she said. "Give me 10 minutes more of my duty here, and I'll meet you on the first bench on the left through those gates over there, and I'll tell you the lot." So I went off into a bread shop, bought a hot chicken pie, went through the gate, turned left, and there was the bench. There was a pond with a duck on it and 2 trees as well, the kind of place that gets called a park in places where there aren't any parks. Anyway, 10 minutes later, just as she said, she's there in her white coat and blue hat and a stop children lollipop. She sat down beside me on the bench. "Suits you," I said, nodding at her coat. "That's me battle gear," she said. "Been out there fighting the giant trucks?" I asked. "As if," she said. I knew by now that if you want a story out of the Bakerloo Flea woman, you have to keep pegging away and not get sidetracked. So I was a bit short. "You're a Lollipop Woman," I said. "Why?" She laughed. "Because a woman's got to do what a woman's got to do. You see that road out there?" "What, the main road?" I said. No, she said, "the one that led onto it. That's what men in offices call a through route." I know all the words now, you see. 2 years ago, the Johnson twins, well, one of them, was knocked down on that through route on their way to school. Last month, a little boy, another little boy, Otis Williams, he was knocked down too. Same time, same place. Both times they tried to make out it was the kiddies' fault. They said they'd run out onto the road. Both times they blamed the parents and the teachers for not teaching the kids their crossing the road rules. "Who blamed them?" I said. "The papers. They said the kids weren't being looked after properly. So it took those accidents for them to get round to putting up a zebra crossing out there," I said. "Don't you believe it, son," she said. "That's not a real zebra crossing out there." "What, like you're not a real Lollipop Woman?" I said. "Right," she says. "You're learning. It was like this, see. For 2 years, after that little boy got knocked down, the people in these flats have said their kids aren't safe on this road. I tell you, one of those children, I'm sorry to say this, I'm very sorry, never came back from the hospital. And on the day, almost every single person on this estate turned out and blocked the road for over an hour. You see, when the cars came to pick up the flowers and the family, nearly everyone was out lining the pavements to show their respect. It was just too much for many people. So the ones who were on the wrong side of the road surged across it. Well, that fairly well blocked the road, didn't it? And of course it wasn't long before there were cars and lorries coming along trying to get through to the main road. Now, those of us who were there, we weren't having none of it. We were that upset, It was more than we could take. "You can wait," People were saying, "Go round the other way," we shouted at them. And I remember the fella driving the first truck stuck his head out his cab and shouted, "We can't get through on the other road. They've cut down the size of the road with pillars." That hit home. You see, he was talking about Webster's Drive up there. Well, those pillars fairly made my blood boil. So there we are, in the middle of the road, holding up all the traffic, paying our respects to the boy. The cars went off, and we were left standing there, talking about things. Any rate, somehow we just stayed there, waiting for the cars, from the other place, to come back. And while we were waiting, some of the cars stuck in the jam started hooting, their drivers got out and yelled at us, and kids ran about shouting, "You can't come through, you can't come through." I tell you, it was chaos. A policeman turned up, went away, 2 policemen turned up, went away, but people just went on talking until all the cars from the place came back. Oh, it was a bad day. Everyone knew the boy. Yeah, and the twins, like you always do know twins, don't you? Oh, it's awful. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to subscribe to this channel, well, you can click on subscribe. If you want to like something, just click on like. And you can leave a comment as well, that's always nice. And don't forget my website, Michael Rosen, all one word, michaelrosen.co.uk.